Welcome to Inside British Royals. This is your exclusive look inside the world's most famous family. We are exploring the scandals, secrets, and power plays that define the modern monarchy. If you are new here, please do well to hit that subscribe button for more updates. On his 66th birthday, February 19, 2026, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, Duke of York, was arrested. The charge? Suspicion of misconduct in public office. This wasn't some quiet inquiry. This was an arrest at the Sandringham estate, followed by nearly 12 hours of police questioning while his properties were searched. For the first time in modern history, a senior member of the British royal family was in police custody. The arrest was the climax of a scandal that had been bubbling for years, but it absolutely exploded in January 2026. That's when a massive trove of documents from the U.S. Department of Justice, all related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, was finally made public. Within these millions of pages were emails, photos, and records that painted a truly damning portrait. They appeared to show Andrew, while he was serving as the UK's official trade envoy, forwarding sensitive government information straight to Epstein, a man who was already a convicted sex offender. They also contained bizarre photographs reportedly showing a man resembling Andrew on his hands and knees over a clothed woman. And they included correspondence that went on long after Andrew swore he had cut all ties, with one chilling sign-off sent in February 2011. Keep in close touch, and we'll play some more soon. The evidence suggested a disturbing level of comfort, a total disregard for his public duty, and an intimacy with a predator that would, in the end, trigger his downfall. So what kicked off this unprecedented royal arrest? A new law that forced the U.S. Department of Justice to unseal its massive archive on the Epstein investigation. In January 2026, millions of documents, emails, photos, financial records, and FBI notes were uploaded for the world to see. As journalists and investigators started digging, what they found on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was explosive. The whole case against him hangs on the charge of misconduct in public office. This is a serious crime under British law, carrying a maximum sentence of life in prison. It's for officials who knowingly abuse or neglect their duties in a way that betrays the public's trust. And the evidence from the DOJ files suggested Andrew did exactly that. Between 2010 and 2011, while he was the UK's special representative for international trade and investment, Andrew appears to have been routinely sharing sensitive information with Jeffrey Epstein. These weren't just casual notes. On November 30th, 2010, Andrew allegedly forwarded official reports from his trade envoy trips to Vietnam, Singapore, and Hong Kong directly to Epstein's inbox, just minutes after getting them himself. On Christmas Eve of that same year, he sent Epstein a document he knew was confidential, a brief on investment opportunities to reconstruct Afghanistan's Helmand province, funded by British government money. In one email, Andrew apparently asked Epstein for his comments, views, or ideas. He was essentially using a convicted sex offender as an unofficial and deeply inappropriate consultant for UK government business. The revelations sparked immediate outrage. The anti-monarchy group Republic filed a formal complaint, demanding the police investigate. On the morning of February 19, 2026, Thames Valley Police made their move. Unmarked cars rolled up to Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, where Andrew had been living since getting kicked out of Royal Lodge. He was arrested and taken to a police station for questioning. After almost 12 hours, he was released under investigation, not charged, but not cleared either. The image of King Charles's younger brother leaving a police station under a cloud of suspicion sent shockwaves across the country. To really get the gravity of these emails, you have to go back. The relationship between Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein started back in 1999, after they were introduced by their mutual friend Ghislaine Maxwell. For years, they ran in the same elite circles. Epstein went to parties at Windsor Castle and Sandringham, and Andrew was a frequent guest at Epstein's many properties. The first massive red flag came in 2008, when Jeffrey Epstein was convicted in Florida for procuring a minor for prostitution and served 13 months in jail. For any public figure, let alone a senior royal and a UK trade envoy. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. The contact continued. The most infamous moment, of course, was in December 2010. Andrew flew to New York and stayed with Epstein for days, a visit that was caught by photographers and caused a huge scandal. In his disastrous 2019 BBC Newsnight interview, Andrew claimed he made that trip to officially and finally end the friendship. He swore it was the last time they had any contact. The January 2026 document dump proved that claim was a lie. The emails kept going into 2011. The messages, often signed simply with an A, reveal an ongoing personal relationship that Andrew had publicly denied for years. And then there were the photographs. While the notorious picture of Andrew with his arm around a 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre has been public for years, the DOJ files contain new, unsettling images. One set of undated photos reportedly shows a man who looks like Andrew on all fours, kneeling over a fully clothed woman lying on the floor. In one shot, he's looking right at the camera. In another, his hand is on her stomach. These bizarre and creepy images, as they were described, only deepened the questions about what exactly he was doing in Epstein's circle. For years, including 2010 and 2011, Andrew held the prestigious, unpaid role of the UK's trade envoy. His duty was to represent British interests. But the emails suggest that at the same time, he was also serving the interests of Jeffrey Epstein, a man whose crimes were already public record. The correspondence wasn't just a personal failing, it was an alleged abuse of his public office. The arrest of a man who, until recently, was a His Royal Highness, ignited a political firestorm. Any deference the royal family once enjoyed, it vanished overnight in the face of a criminal investigation. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government threw its in the House of Commons. The debate was intense. Chris Bryant, a Labour MP and Minister for Trade, slammed what he called a culture of arrogant, entitled behavior that let Epstein's network flourish. The Liberal Democrat leader, Ed Davey, used it as a chance to demand more accountability, asking how Andrew's role as trade envoy was ever approved in the first place, given his known friendship with Epstein. The scandal wasn't just about Andrew anymore. It was about the judgment of the entire British establishment. But maybe the most powerful statement came from Buckingham Palace. In a stunning break from the royals' never complain, never explain motto, King Charles III issued a formal statement. He expressed his deepest concern over the news and gave his full and wholehearted support to the police investigation. He finished with a blunt, six-word declaration that showed just how serious this was. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. It was a clear signal. Andrew was on his own. The palace wouldn't be protecting him. The Prince and Princess of Wales quickly followed up, voicing their support for the king's position. The media reaction was just as fierce. For weeks, the DOJ files were the only story, with news outlets using data analysis tools to sift through the millions of pages. The story of Andrew's emails, the strange photos, and his arrest was reported all over the world, doing even more damage to the image of the British monarchy. The arrest wasn't just seen as one man's downfall, but as a crisis for the very institution he represented. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's arrest was the final, spectacular chapter in a downfall that had been playing out for years. The whole thing really started to unravel with his catastrophic BBC Newsnight interview in November 2019. His attempts to explain away his friendship with Epstein, his denials of ever meeting Virginia Giuffre, and his infamous claim about being unable to sweat were widely mocked and seen as completely unbelievable. The public backlash was so bad that he was forced to step back from all public duties just days later. The consequences kept piling up. In 2022, facing a civil lawsuit from Virginia Giuffre in the U.S., he paid a multi-million-dollar settlement to avoid a trial, though he never admitted any liability. But the release of the DOJ files in 2026 made his position impossible. The new evidence of his ongoing emails with Epstein and the alleged sharing of government secrets was a betrayal that couldn't be spun or ignored. His brother, King Charles III, acted fast. In October 2025, even before the full details were public, the process began to strip Andrew of his titles. He was no longer His Royal Highness, the Duke of York. He was just Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. The final humiliations came one after another. In early February 2026, He was evicted from Royal Lodge, his grand home near Windsor Castle, and moved into more modest quarters at Wood Farm. Just 2 weeks later, on his 66th birthday, the police showed up to arrest him. From a senior working royal to a man under criminal investigation, living in exile on a remote estate, the fall was total, public, and brutal. And every step of the way was a direct result of his own catastrophic judgment. The arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor sends tremors far beyond the fate of one disgraced royal. It has shaken the British monarchy to its core and raises some serious questions about privilege, accountability, and the place of the royals in modern Britain. King Charles' decisive action to strip his brother of titles and back the police was a clear attempt at damage control, but the stain on the institution is there, and the story is getting wider. The investigation has started to expose a whole network of influence. The files revealed that other powerful figures of the British establishment also had connections to Jeffrey Epstein. For example, the name of Peter Mandelson, a former senior government minister, appeared in the documents, prompting further scrutiny. It suggests Epstein's web reached deep into the highest levels of British power, snaring politicians as well as royals. The ongoing investigations have exposed a rot that goes far beyond a single creepy email. This whole scandal feels like a potential turning point. For decades, powerful people have been accused of acting like the rules don't apply to them, shielded by their money, status, and connections. The arrest of a prince may just signal that this era is finally ending. It suggests that when the evidence is overwhelming and the public is demanding answers, not even a royal title can put you above the law. The story of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is a sordid tale of appalling judgment, arrogance, and the abuse of power. The emails and photos from the Justice Department files paint a clear picture. This was a man who kept a close, comfortable friendship with a convicted predator, even while he was representing the UK on the world stage. He allegedly betrayed the country's trust, not for the national interest, but for the benefit of his disgraced friend. His arrest on his 66th birthday was a cold, hard dose of accountability. The monarchy has weathered plenty of scandals, but this one feels different. It cuts right to the heart of the trust between the public and those born into incredible power. What does it say about the character of people at the top when they so willingly associate with, and even help, the very worst among us? If you found this investigation insightful, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. And I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below. Do you believe this case will lead to real change and more accountability for the powerful?